The amount of change in individual Christian lives across the church necessary for us to change the world in that way is obviously immense. We've known this stuff for 2,000 years. What will it take for us to take it seriously now?
Well, you know, it's been around for 2,000 years. But there have been, throughout the ages, groups of people who have taken Jesus seriously. Let me just point out St. Francis of Assisi, who is my model, goes to church. If you read the life of St. Francis, the minister reads about sacrificial, reads the Sermon on the Mount, reads about forsaking all and following Jesus, reads about the rich young ruler from the pulpit. He says this, I hear the scripture being read, and I say, I'm going to do what the rich young ruler failed to do. When Jesus said to him, if you want to be my disciples, sell what you have and give it to the poor, take up the cross and follow me, St. Francis did. Not many people know who the Pope was during those years. They all know who St. Francis was during those years. He spoke as one having authority. Today, in the United States, coming out of Eastern University where I teach, there's a whole group of young people, hundreds of them now, who call themselves the people of the simple way. This Baptist university, it is a Baptist university, has produced this whole group of people called the Simple Way people. And they're all over the United States. And they have embraced this radical lifestyle. And wherever they go, they're like rock stars. Young people come by the thousands to hear them. The Baptist Union of Britain, the Baptist Union of Wales, of Scotland, has to drum up a crowd. I can guarantee you, if I bring one of my young people, let's say one that has already come here, Shane Claiborne, and put him up, the place will be packed with young people. This church that has lost young people at a rate that staggers the imagination would have young people galore if I just brought some of these people in, because they know what authentic Christianity is. Authentic Christianity is living out your life for the poor and the needy of the world.
You, because of your views, get a lot of personal criticism that verges on vilification on the internet, in books and certain speakers and that sort of thing. Does that hurt?
It used to. You reach a certain age and you really don't care anymore. I think it has more to do with my age. My wife will tell you there were times when every little criticism, I would go into a funk. Coming over here on the airplane, I always dictate letters, and there's always a pile of letters that have come in with people condemning me for this and that and the other thing. And the answers are always the same now. Thank you for taking the time to let me know what you think of me. I take criticism very, very seriously. You can be sure I will pray about the things that concern you. Sincerely, Tony Campolo. I don't respond anymore because there's no point to it. You know, Søren Kierkegaard, who was one of my intellectual heroes, was asked one day, it might have been a Baptist church, but it wasn't. It was the Lutheran Church of Denmark. Did you hear they had a dance at the church last night? Shocked, you know, that sounds Baptist. They had a dance at the church. Isn't that shocking? And he said, not half as shocking as using the church on Sunday morning to make a fool out of God. Whoa. What do we do on Sunday morning? We sing, all to Jesus I surrender. Oh, are you kidding? We don't even give a tithe, let alone all. We make a fool out of God on Sunday morning. We talk about how many of you today are willing to totally surrender your life to Christ. I've been at youth rallies. How many of you young people will give your life to Christ today? So they come down the aisle and I say, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take off a year and work in the slums of American cities. We have a program called Mission Year where we actually do this. You've come down, you've committed your life to Christ. Would you give up a year? I mean, the Mormon kids are willing to give up 2 years. Will you give up a year to work with the poorest of the poor in the slums of America? And you can just see their faces. Are you kidding? I'm willing to give my life to Jesus, but not a whole year. And they don't, I mean, the idiocy of this. You're making a fool out of God. Yeah, I get my criticisms. And, you know, if I wasn't getting criticisms, I would have to ask some very serious questions. Beware, says Jesus, when they all speak well of you. Blessed are you when they are persecuted for righteousness' sake. And note, the thing that bothers me is not when I get criticized. My wife will tell you, the thing that bothers me, she knows me well, is when I read the criticism and there's truth in what they have said. And very often, my critics and those who condemn me point out things in me that ought to be condemned. They point out things in me that ought to be criticized. And that's when it does hurt. When I go, ouch, you're right. I shouldn't have said that. Ooh, you're right. I was wrong on that point. So criticism can be helpful. And you know, I do get letters of criticism where the criticism can be quite severe, but the tone of the letter is in love. They I have to take seriously. But I get other letters that are filled with venom, and I can count on it. They are unsigned, which shows the real courage of the people who are laying the criticism on you. When I was younger, it bothered me a great deal because I was worried about my career. Would this cause me to lose speaking engagements? How will this affect the sale of my books? How evil is that? You get beyond that at a certain point, and you don't care.